Hey, this is Josh from Breezy Billows. Today I wanted to talk about something that gets discussed a lot in the accordion community, which is the size and weight of accordions. So a lot of people give out advice that lighter and smaller accordions are gonna be better for beginners, but there is some truth to it. I wouldn't dismiss that statement or recommendation altogether, but it is not as black and white as one might assume, because there are a lot of advantages for playing a full-sized accordion, and instead of saying full-sized accordion, there are a lot of advantages in playing the accordion that is the right size for you, and sometimes that might not be the compact small-sized accordion. So, and as often as the weight of the accordion gets discussed by accordion players, I feel that more than the weight, the fit of your straps and how well you're able to adjust your playing position and posture, and the weight distribution of the accordion matters much more than the weight of the accordion. So this is a humongous accordion. If you actually look at this, the keyboard extends down to 45 keys. So this one is actually even larger than your standard full-size accordion. This is an extended keyboard. It's a Giulietti Super Model 5 Bassetti free bass only accordion. It's not a converter. It only has free bass on the left hand, but nevertheless this is much bigger than your regular full-sized accordion, and I'm about 5'11". I'd say that's about average or a little bit above average height, but I'm not too tall, and I'm able to handle this pretty well because I got the straps continuously adjusted to improve my posture based on how I'm able to control this. Before I was able to adjust the straps properly, I get tired in a few minutes. It'll be like a workout playing this accordion or anything that's too big. Working the bellows and controlling this accordion would get me exhausted. But now I'm able to play this for about a couple of hours without getting tired. That's because I got the right strap adjustments. So let's look at how let's look at the process that I went through and all of the steps that I took to get my straps adjusted better. So to begin with, I'm gonna remove my backstrap. This is called a Merle strap. There are so many different options available for back straps. We'll talk about that in detail. This one is a Velcro based Merle strap. You can Google that. I got this from Petosa Accordions, and I like this one because it gives me continuous adjustment. There are also other buckle based ones in which you have holes punched where you won't be able to get the finer adjustments. So this one lets me put it as tight or as loose as I want. I'm gonna set this aside and let's look at how we adjust the straps first. So as a rule of thumb, your right shoulder strap, this one, needs to be much looser compared to your left shoulder strap. So if you look at this one is so loose, and this one is much tighter. And sometimes you might want to get a longer strap piece for this lower end of the right strap, because the strap that your accordion comes with might not be long enough. And that was something that I had to figure out after trying to get my right strap longer, and it still wouldn't work. So why are we doing this? Because all of the weight of your accordion is rested on your left leg like this. So your accordion is rested like this, and your left strap is as tight as it gets until it starts feeling too tight. So it's got to be snug so that there's not a lot of play here. So it needs to be close against your body, and the accordion is rested on your left leg over here, and it stays straight. We don't want the accordion to like fall this way or this way. Just this one strap, and this, even before you put your right strap on, you want that to be straight and well balanced. And then you have your right strap, and the proper playing position is to keep the keyboard vertically under your chin. So that so there are two reasons why you want this. Reason number one is how relaxed your hand is. So you don't want any tension in your right hand when you're in playing position. Remember that the keyboard is vertical. So when you're playing a piano, you keep it relaxed in this fashion. So the piano isn't like too close to you, and you don't play like this, right? So if I put my accordion over here, if my right straps are not loose enough, they're gonna pull the accordion towards this side, and that would want me to like move my hands, extend them this way so that I could play the keyboard, and that's gonna build a lot of tension on my shoulders, and that's not good for the long term. So you want to keep your keyboard right under your chin so that your hands are in a natural relaxed position when you play the keyboard. So in order to do that, you have to keep your right strap very, very loose. So let's see how this looks like if my right strap is not very loose. And I only talked about the first reason for having the keyboard under your chin. The second reason is that it makes it easier to take a peek at the keyboard whenever you want to change registers. So now I've adjusted my straps so that it's still looser than the left strap, but it's not too loose, and this was how I had it initially. So I have it loose, and if you look at this one, it's not even possible to get the keyboard under my chin because this strap is too tight and it's pulling my accordion this way. And when I play this, there's a lot of tension in my hand because I have to like go all the way like this to reach my keyboard, especially when I'm playing like keys that are closer to my chin, the lower notes. It's very hard to reach that, and that's not good playing position. And then I'd go and move this to the last hole over here, and then I still couldn't get that position right, and that was because of this lower extension part of the strap, which wasn't long enough. So, and after I got some advice from some of my accordion friends, particularly from Bratislav Manisejevic, I hope that I pronounced that last name right. He's from Accordion Online Academy. He reached out to me to provide me with a lot of tips about practice and posture, and he suggested that I should be asking the dealer for like a longer strap extension for the lower part of the right strap, and I did that, and that solved the problem. So now I can actually get very good playing position with this. But there was one little catch, and I should say that I still haven't found my ideal playing position, and it's still a work in progress. But in comes the backstrap. So why do you need a backstrap? Because the weight of the accordion. So we talk about the weight of the accordion a lot, and the accordion feels heavier the more it moves away from your body. So if I keep my accordion without a backstrap, eventually what happens is that the accordion keeps sliding and sliding, and it goes like this. And this especially happens when you have a tendency to like look at the keyboard, and in order to make it easier to look at the keyboard, you want to keep it tilted like this. But look what happens. your accordion moves so much away from your body, and then it starts to feel much heavier. It doesn't matter how heavy your accordion actually is. If it's moving away from your body, it's gonna feel much heavier than what it's supposed to feel. It's like holding your accordion like this versus holding it like this. It's gonna feel much heavier because the center of gravity is moving further away from your body. So this is where the back strap comes in. So the back strap is something that you put on your shoulder straps, and it goes horizontal this way so that you could adjust it to pull the accordion closer towards you. So this is a Merle strap. I really like these, and so it goes on both ends. After I put it on, so I put it on like this, and then this stops the accordion from like sliding away from my body, and you see that it's very vertical, and it's closer to my body, it's snug, and I feel much more in control when I work the accordion because the accordion is not moving around, and it's very snug. But I've been having a problem when I use my back straps in particular, because when I use my back strap, I'm not able to maintain my position where the keyboard goes right under my chin. It kind of moves a little bit towards this side because it makes the straps a little bit tighter. But without the back straps, I can achieve this position, but I lose the snugness that I get with the back strap. So it is a trade-off for me. I haven't really figured out a way. So if I keep my back strap a little bit looser, I'm able to achieve this. Maybe that is the compromise that I have to do. If I keep the back strap a little bit looser, I'm still able to keep the keyboard under my chin, and I do get significant amount of snugness over here. The accordion is not really sliding, but I have this tendency of tightening my back strap a lot, and maybe that is the problem. I'll have to try that out later. But this is how I've achieved a playing position that lets me play for several hours without getting fatigued like I used to do. Like I used to get fatigued when I played like larger accordions. So you don't have to be intimidated by the weight and size of the instrument. These are designed to be played by normal sized humans. But if you're on the shorter side, maybe it's harder to like fit this keyboard under your chin. So that's all that matters. You don't really have to worry about weight. It's the dimension of the accordion, and the other dimension that doesn't get talked about a lot is the thickness or the depth of the accordion. Everybody talks about the length of the keyboard, but the depth of the accordion is also something that plays a major role with respect to maneuvering your accordion. The more deeper it is, the more it projects out and the heavier it feels. So why does an accordion get deeper? It's because of the number of reed blocks. So if you have like 5 reed blocks on the bass side, the depth of the accordion needs to be like much thicker, and it's gonna project out because it needs to fit all these reed blocks in. So that's why a lot of times smaller accordions would have like 4 reed blocks on the stradella side. So obviously this is a free bass accordion, so it doesn't really have the typical bass sets that you have in your stradella bass. And if this were like a converter accordion, this is gonna be like much more thicker. And And that's what I like about this. Like when I play freebase, I just do this, and it's actually a little bit lighter than what it would be if it were a converter accordion. So I can play seated, so I rarely play standing up. And I understand if people want to like buy smaller accordions if they are like a strolling accordion player. But if you're a beginner and if you're like average height, you don't really have to be intimidated by full-sized accordions. And there are so many advantages of playing like full-sized accordions is that you have like bigger bellows, so you have more air to work with, so you can play like longer phrases, opening the bellows for a longer time than what you do with like tiny bellows. And whenever I switch to play with like smaller accordions, I always realize that I kind of struggle doing my phrasing, my expression goes away, and then I start pulsing because I'm so conscious about like how much air I have, and I have to like be much more conservative doing that because I'm so used to like playing full-sized accordions. So for me, playing a full-sized accordion is what I feel most comfortable with. So now let's look at a smaller accordion. So I do have one by my side. I did pick this one up earlier this year, I guess. And this is a Petosa Little Pro XT. It's a very interesting configuration. It's actually pretty thick and deep for a accordion of this size. I think it only has like 26 keys. Let me count that. I didn't really count how many keys we have here. So this is a G to a G, 12, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 keys. And it has 96 basses in here. And we're also going to talk about another topic that I feel is very, very contentious. But before we get into that, let's look at the fit of this accordion and why I feel that this one doesn't fit me as well. So I've got this buckle style backstrap on this one. So this is something that I got from Smythe's Accordion Center, which is now based off of Petaluma. I like this one as well, but I like the Merle strap better because it lets me like adjust the straps much more easily. For this, I have to like take it off in order to make the adjustments. So if you actually look at the straps again, we have the right strap much looser than the left strap. I do this, and then if you actually, so I'm gonna put my back strap on, and if you actually look at the playing position, it's sitting very well on my lap, and then I have the keyboard under my chin. But the accordion is actually much more looser than the full-size accordion because I have to let it hang down so that it can sit on my legs, and the straps are much more looser. So it's not as snug a fit as I get from my full-size accordion. And this one has a very nice tone. Even the small size has actually a good projection. It's got no tone chamber. It's got a very direct sound, and it's wet tuned. This is the only wet tuned accordion that I have, and even the single clarinet reed actually sounds pretty good. And you also have the musette on this. And you also have a drier tuned register. tri-tune violin a lot. It's a very versatile accordion for its size, and it's got 96 basses, but again, smaller bellows. Smaller bellows means I have to really think about the amount of air I've got to work with. So let's talk about bass buttons. So this is something that bothers me a lot because people mention this all the time. Like, don't get a 120 bass accordion and get a 72 bass or 96 bass. A 72 bass accordion has all the buttons that you need, and if you want duplicates, a 96 bass covers you and you don't need those extra buttons anyway. Let's decode the statement. So what do they mean? So we have the bass buttons right here. So this one has 96 bass buttons for an accordion of this size, which is very, very unusual, but I like it because the more bass buttons that we have, even if it has like duplicate rows, it allows you to play in like different playing positions, and it gives you a lot of options. And you don't really gain anything by reducing the number of bass buttons, because after you pass a certain number of bass buttons, maybe a 12 bass accordion doesn't have like as much number of reeds as the other accordions. But once you pass like 48 basses, the number of reeds that you have on your accordion on the bass side don't really depend on the number of bass buttons. The number of reeds depends on the number of reed blocks that you have. It might be 4 or 5 depending on your accordion. A full size usually has 5 sets, and lighter accordions have 4 sets, and that's what makes the biggest difference. And the extra buttons that you have are basically like tiny pillars made of like thin metal that just add to the mechanism to open the exact same reeds that the other buttons would open. And that's gonna barely add a few grams of weight to your accordion. So what exactly is happening here? Why do people keep saying that 96 basses and 72 basses are lighter than a 120 bass accordion? So this statement is not objectively false, but it is very, very misleading, because 96 bass accordions and 72 bass accordions, if you usually look at that and compare it with a 120 bass accordion, they are going to be lighter. But the reason for that is not the number of bass buttons, but something else. It's because those accordions usually come with a shorter keyboard. So if you look at this one only has like 31 keys compared to a 41 that I'll get in a standard full-size accordion. So that is the reason that this accordion is so much lighter than a full-size accordion. It has a smaller cabinet and a fewer number of bass reeds because of the number of sets, and 10 fewer keys. And also the number of registers on the treble side will also affect the weight of the accordion. But the length of this accordion is so short that you don't have to have a cabinet that is as big as a standard full-sized accordion. And as an effect of that, it's harder to fit 120 bass buttons in here. So there are some accordions that try to do that by packing the bass buttons much more closer. But if you have an accordion that has fewer number of keys, you don't have enough space to pack as many bass buttons. So talking about bass buttons being a way to reduce the weight of the accordion is very, very misleading, because what's happening here is that you get fewer number of keys, and that made the accordion lighter. And that whole premise of you don't need anything more than 96 basses, and you're not losing anything by getting a 96 bass accordion. The usual argument is that you're not missing out on a lot of things by getting a 96 bass or a 72 bass, becomes very, very misleading, and actually it counters the original point, because you are missing out on a lot of keys, and that is what is making the accordion smaller and lighter. So I was not aware of this, when people made this recommendation to me, and I did end up buying a 72 bass accordion and then a 96 bass accordion, only to realize that I needed more keys. So I was not able to like play certain songs that I was learning because I only had like 31 keys in one of the accordion and 37 in the other. I did miss those 4 keys. It might not seem like a lot, but sometimes you do need them. And there is a reason that they've been making a full-sized accordion all this time. And if you're getting an accordion of that size, there's no point to leave out those extra bass buttons. You might as well get all the 120 because it's not gonna add a lot of weight. So if you're in the market for like a 72 bass or a 96 bass accordion, be fully aware that you are making a compromise on the size of the keyboard and the number of keys. And if you're okay with it, if that's what you want, that's perfectly fine. But you will be disappointed if you get into the purchase thinking that you are buying a 96 bass accordion or a 72 bass accordion without making a big compromise. So think about the keyboard. The keyboard is what makes the accordion lighter. They're providing you with like 10 fewer keys or like 4 fewer keys, and that's what makes the accordion lighter, not the number of bass buttons. And that's what I wanted to share about the weight, the size, and the fit of accordions. So let me know if you have any other questions.